Chalner here for Forever Football DRFC, your Doncaster Rovers fan channel. It is Daily Reports Day, bringing you the latest news from the club. We've got a couple of big stories. We're going to look in depth into the new crop of youngsters, but before that we've got some very breaking news about the latest contract and transfer updates. So before we get started with all of that, please like, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell so you don't miss YouTube video. Big headlines out of Rovers via the media today. Haliiday and James unlikely to sign new contracts. Also, potentially the loan market for competition at right back, and also going to look at those fresh copper youngsters with their two-year scholarships. So let's get started with the transfer update. So this is from the Free Press, the Donny Free Press, one of the main media sources from the club. And we're going to have a look at all the details of exactly what's going on. So, Doncaster Rovers are set to examine transfer targets in the fullback positions, with Reece James and Brad Haliiday expected to leave the club, understood by the Free Press. Now, James has informed Rovers he would only reject the offer of a new deal if they received a contract from a championship club, which we all knew already. Now, it's understood by the Free Press the 27-year-old has now had at least one firm offer from the second tier, with Rovers staff increasingly resigned to losing the versatile left-back. He was one of the club's shining lights in an up-and-down campaign, playing more in a variety of positions in midfield than he did in his natural left-back slot. He's been especially keen to retain James, who joined the club from Sunderland 2 years ago. Before we go on about the rest of the stuff from these stories, let's just talk about that first of all. It's looking increasingly likely that James will leave. He's received an offer, apparently, from a firm offer from the championship club. We don't know who that is. We don't know who the championship club is, but we understood it, so it's one firm offer. As much as I think I was probably on the side of let's keep Reece James, we can build something around him. But you know what, to be fair, if you look on the other side to this, even though it would have been great to keep Reece James, even though he's one of the players that I wanted to keep personally, I think if we're going to need to completely rebuild, we may need to clear out every single bit of this past season, which includes Reece James. So, Reece James might have been, he's one of the bright sparks of this past season, the collapse of this past season. He's been one of the bright sparks, but even some Rovers fans were saying we need to get rid of him anyway because, he was still a part of that campaign and we sort of need to clear out a lot of people. So, Reece James, in my opinion, I would have personally kept him, but, I think the situation was pretty clear. If he got an offer from the Championship, he was going to leave. He wasn't joining Sheffield Wednesday. Sheffield Wednesday fans, do not say anything. He's not joining your club. He's going to the Championship. He's got a firm offer from the Championship. We don't know who's signing him. We'll have a look, hopefully, when the time's right. I pray it's not Barnsley or Rotherham. Anyone but Barnsley and Rotherham. If it's like a club that's sort of mid-table to playoffs in the Championship, fair play to him because he deserves the move. But we'll see. It might end up being Preston. You never know. Go and rejoin Ben Whiteman. You never know, do you? But yeah. If this is the end and Reece James will join this championship club, then best of luck to Reece. I'm sure he'll have a fantastic career ahead of him. Now, obviously, the next part of the story is it's unlikely an agreement will be reached with Brad Haliiday to stay at Rovers, with the club unwilling to meet the right back's increased wage demands. Now, this is an interesting story. Rovers are understood to have made an offer to the 25-year-old which they consider to be fair for a player of his abilities, but his representatives have asked for improved terms. It's expected that Haliiday will now join one of Rovers' League One rivals. I personally see two clubs getting Brad Haliiday. Either he goes to Fleetwood or he goes back to Cambridge. That's just my personal prediction. But on the story, the reason why he's unlikely to sign a contract is because he will not meet the wage demands that we have offered him, the club have offered him. So it's a hard one to make my mind up about this story because obviously we don't know the full context. We don't know what we offered, how much he wants. So we can't judge for sure who's in the right and who's in the wrong here. But I think some fans would be happy to see the back. I mean, this is not my personal opinion, but I've seen some fans on social media. They want to see the back of Brad Haliiday because they don't think he's a good enough right back. I personally think he's a great right back. I think he's been our best right back, even better than Niall Mason in my opinion. I think he's been the best right back since we had O'Connor a decade ago, and I think he's been the best in that position. Yes, he got skinned alive a few times this season, probably 3 or 4 times in one game, the Sunderland match. But I still think he was a great right back. He still had tenacity, he still had attacking prowess, he still had this attacking mentality. So I feel like it's up to us now to make do with someone. Obviously we've got, it's going to say further down the article, we've got 2 fullbacks, recognised fullbacks left at the club now. Brandon Horton and Charlie Seaman, who's yet to play this season. Well, he's playing next season, obviously, because he was out on loan at Maidstone. Charlie Seaman I've got confidence in. Horton I've got confidence in. 2 youngsters, but we do need to invest in those fullback positions now. So James is going. It looks like he's going. Haliiday looks like he's going. Obviously, we don't know who's in the right and wrong in that situation, but best of luck to Brad Haliiday anyway. He's been a great servant for the club over the last couple of years, and we wish you luck in the future. But I guess that's just the ruthlessness of this rebuild. If you're going to rebuild the football club and bring the identity back, you're going to need to be ruthless. And even the best players or the first teamers that are out of contract, need to go at some point. So wherever Haliiday goes, good luck. Wherever James goes, good luck. And we move on. Now we've got discussions with other players due to be concluded shortly. So that's with Lokilo, Hasani and Blythe. We kind of knew about Ben Blythe. He's signing a brand new contract. That's probably going to get announced in the next few weeks. Lokilo and Hasani we're talking to, so hopefully, fingers crossed, can get those deals over the line as well. Now, Rovers currently have only 2 recognised fullbacks on their books. We spoke about that. Now, the new Rovers manager, Richie Wellens, is returning from his holiday this weekend, so only in a couple of days' time, but he's maintained contact with staff and the club throughout the break. Wellens was confident of closing in on his first signing before he headed away for the holiday with his family, but any deals are unlikely to be confirmed until later this month, which we kind of expected anyway. It's likely that Wellens will look to the loan market to provide competition with Seaman at right back this season. It didn't say left back as well. So that says to me we're looking at a permanent deal for left back and a loan option to compete at the right back position. So I think there's truth and rumour in the matter. It's just a case of what. Now, am I disheartened that we're sort of looking at loan options for the right back position? No, because I think that overall, obviously, we can't not look in the loan market. It's part of the bloody club. It's part of the club. It's part of our DNA. It's all about what we do with the chance we've got to rebuild now. We've got to rebuild the right way. And I personally feel like the loan market is perfect because you get that young up-and-coming talent, and and I think this side's been very, we've got a very, very sort of versatile team in a way. We've got players that can play in different positions, so I think that versatility could be one of the things we look for in a new right back on loan. Left back, I think we'll get a permanent player. I think there's no doubt about that. We might get a loan player as well. We might get a permanent and a loan player. You never know. I've said in previous videos there's a couple of players that I'd like to see us go for. Matt Penny from Sheffield Wednesday, Calvin Bassey from Rangers. Those are 2 left backs that I personally rate. I've seen highlights of Bassey play for Rangers this season, and in past seasons. I think he's been pretty good. Again, Matt Penny's in an impossible situation at Sheffield Wednesday. Sheffield Wednesday not looking good right now. I think Penny deserves the move somewhere else. I think that Penny would do good at Rovers. And it should be interesting to see what we do with those positions. So obviously a bit of transfer talk there. Hopefully we'll get the Lokilo contract, the Hasani contract and the Blythe contract done and announced. And we'll get some new signings in the next few weeks. So I'm confident. Of course, pre-season starts in July, so we'll have a look at exactly what's going on with that. Now, let's go into our final story, which is looking in detail at the new crop of young youngsters that have signed 2-year scholarships with the Rovers Academy and will be part of that youth team for the next 2 seasons. So let's take a look at the details on the new crop of Youth Academy stars. So first up is Tom Chambers. Previously with Middlesbrough, the vocal and bubbly goalkeeper registered a clean sheet on his Youth Alliance debut against Lincoln City and possessed a tall and agile frame. Perfect. Next up, Alex Fletcher, a product of the A1 Football Academy, where he's been tutored by the former midfielder Paul Green. Greedy. He's a player who has progressed through the club's academy. The enthusiastic right back, very interesting there, featured prominently in the closing weeks of the season, was on the score sheet and whenever Bradford City. So he'd be a perfect long-term option for that right-back position, along with Charlie Seaman and whoever we get in next season anyway. Jack Goodman, another who featured quite a bit in the latter part of the campaign, a direct and troublesome forward who has also had interest from Vanarama National League Notts County. And by the way, good luck to Notts County in the National League playoffs to get back into the Football League and join Sutton United. Ethan Harrison, a hard-working and clinical striker who has progressed through the academy, possessing good strength, is relentless with his effort and takes up good positions in key areas, which makes him a threat to opposing defences. Great to hear. Next up, Faris Khan. Previously with Sheffield Wednesday, a fleet-footed attacking midfielder who can also play in the attack. He grabbed a goal against Lincoln during the regular season and has since impressed in other appearances. Next up, Josh Lindley, a deep-line midfielder who has been in the club for the past few years and excels at breaking up the play. His style, playing simple passes, work rate and presence, can be very effective. It's a pleasure to watch, and another who has worked with Paul Green in recent times. So we're getting that identity back, learning under the legends. Next up, Tom Parkinson, a versatile left-sided player. Very interesting. Could he be our Bukayo Saka type player? Now, he's often found in attacking areas, who featured as a substitute in an FA Youth Cup clash with Peterborough United and looks to be a decent addition. He hasn't yet scored in a Youth Alliance, but possessed a tenacious streak within the game. Also coached by the A1 Football Factory previously. So again, another Football Factory Academy prospect. Next up, Charlie Petch. He's one of the first to be offered the scholarship terms, having previously been at Leeds United, the Premier League club Leeds United. The imposing centre-back has already featured on a handful of occasions and was on the score sheet in the thumping win over Burton Albion in February. Now, next up, we got Jack Rapper. Or Rapper, I think that's how it's pronounced, Rapper. Arguably the most technically gifted amongst the new recruits, capable of influencing games to a great extent. The midfielder has underlined his potential with some excellent passes, hails from the northeast and has many similarities with ex-scholar Will McGowan, previously at Leeds, of course, as well. So Jack Rapper, previously at Leeds United as well. Very welcome addition to the academy. And finally, Jack Whiting, another player who has arrived from Leeds, operating at left back. His form improved over a handful of games in which he appeared, culminating with a decent showing against Mansfield Town on the final day of the season. Obviously, there's a few that stand out to me personally. Parkinson, Rapper, Whiting, but I'm sure all of them stand out in their own way. And I think it's great to see the next generation of Doncaster Rovers Academy players coming up over the next couple of years. So obviously there's a real mix in there, a former Middlesbrough goalkeeper in the academy, a couple of Leeds players, Sheffield Wednesday player in Faris Khan, A1 Football Factory prospects, people who've worked under Paul Green, the midfield maestro from this club. And the Youth Academy can do so much for your career. It can do so much. I mean, look at our previous crop. We look at the talent that came out of that: Charlie Bell, Lewis Cunningham, Ethan Bojang. But if you don't, I think it's just a case of you could be offered a professional contract if you're right. I think that we only gave 2 professional contracts: Ben Bottomley and Liam Ravenhill. So I personally think that it's obviously going to be difficult for these guys to get professional contracts at the end of the 2 years, but if they show enough, I think they've got a chance. So We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with what's going on. But I'm very confident about the future of Donny Rovers with the kind of new academy prospects coming through. But there we go, guys. A lot of stories to get through today. The new crop of youngsters, all exciting, very, very fresh, lovely. And the transfer updates. Haliiday unlikely to sign. James unlikely to sign. Lokilo could sign. Hasani could sign. Blythe looks like he's going to sign. Obviously, we're looking in the loan market for a right back to compete with Charlie Seaman. We're looking at new transfers for both fullback positions, even though midfield is the priority. So we're looking all over the pitch for new players. So I think we'll expect to see some signings coming in at the end of the month. So thank you very much, guys, for watching this video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. And for now, my name is Aaron Chandler from Forever Football, DRFC, keep living the Rovers life. Stay tuned for the England-Romania preview in a few days' time. And for now, that is full time. Rovers till I die. Thank you very much.